Good morning, everyone. This is Dave, aka DREBG, senior member over at InformedTrades.com. For those of you not familiar with InformedTrades, I welcome you to go on over, poke around a little bit. It's all free. Great information, great traders, a great place to post some things to get some feedback, a great place to post some things so that other people can learn from you. It's just a great place overall, and I definitely welcome your going over there and checking it out. Today is Monday the 12th, 2011. Coming off the anniversary of the 9/11 attacks yesterday, I was actually able to introduce my kids, who were only very young at the time and didn't understand what it was all about. They were riveted when we watched some of the footage and learned about what exactly happened. I'm glad they are able to now understand what that's all about. Today, we're going to talk a little bit about simple price action with pivot points, specifically weekly and monthly pivot points. Okay, so the basic premise is this. Price action almost always revisits the weekly pivot point or monthly pivot point during any given week. Are there some weeks when it doesn't? Of course there are. Are there some times when gaps don't fill right away? Of course there are. But the majority of the time, price action will revisit its weekly pivot point every single week. Here's an example. You're looking at the euro-dollar 1-hour chart today, this morning, and as you can see, there's a novice gap down, we'll talk about that in a minute, over the weekend that's now been filled. Weekly pivot point is located here. Monthly pivot point is way up here. Now, you can go on and on about how the euro has been tanking and sell pullbacks, and that's all great, but we're not talking about huge swing trades here. We're talking about movement at some level that you can place high probability trades and have some good follow through. When I came up and saw the charts this morning, we were somewhere around here, right around the monthly S3. And price action was coming off that to fill this gap. And I looked at this as, wow, I think this is something that can really head up to that weekly pivot point. But jumping in down here, I think, would be premature, because I think price action is going to come back, retest that MS3 level, and then go back up to the weekly pivot. This would have been chasing price action to jump in. The green line you see at the bottom, let me expand this, is nothing more, there's 4-hour and here's a daily, nothing more than a support line that I put in that has a few touches and some areas of congestion along the way. This is already today's candle, which is huge, and it obviously means there's some reaction here, right around the 135 level, and that there's some buyers that are willing to step in to stop this precipitous drop that we've seen. But where's it going to go? How high is it going to go? Who knows? The point is, this support line, or resistance line in this case, is not far from the weekly pivot, as well as S2 on the monthly. And when you put all that together, you start to see that this may be a pretty good area where price action may do something. I don't know. Is it going to bust through and keep going? Who knows? This is also a level at which this pennant that everyone thought was going to have support and bounce through is located. The bottom of that pennant, maybe it hits the bottom of the pennant, which happens to be around those same levels, and continues downward. I don't know. The point is, all I'm trying to do, let me go back to that 1-hour chart. All I'm trying to do is play this long, 100, 150, 200 pips. That's all we're really talking about. What we want to do is try and figure out where we're going to have maybe a reversal around here somewhere, back down for a retest before we head up to that weekly pivot again, so we can get a good entry down here somewhere. It's all about patience. Patience is really key when it comes to this type of trading. Let's look at another one. Here's an hourly Kiwi dollar today. You'll see there's a trade on here right now. I entered here this morning after a pullback. Price action had gone up here, came back down, and then started going back through. I'm just looking, here's the red line, here's my target. I'm just looking for this to get back to the weekly pivot. My stop loss is down here below this minor swing. And if I take it down to a 15-minute, you can see it in more detail. Where I got in was somewhere, I'm trying to remember now, we hit here. I got in, saw that price action had made this dip here, and then we get in on the way back up. What you're looking at is price action really kind of expanding and going at a good clip with this run up after this solid run down, and I don't doubt that we could get back down to even my stop loss level. I could have entered a little too early on this. What I might do here is simply move my stop loss up to break even or just a couple of pips in profit, and let it ride and see what happens. If it does turn around and price action revisits and touches this level down here again, and that's when it's going to come back up. If it didn't touch the weekly pivot yet and turns right now, I'm pretty confident that at some point this week it's going to. So that's not a bad trade. This is doing okay. You know, we're in for 25 pips. I'll probably lock in a couple of pips of profit just because I think I got in a little early. And if it stops me out, fine. I'll re-enter again at a better price. No big deal. Here's another one. This is CAD Yen, hourly chart. Again, we're seeing price action violently moving away from this support level. Let me bring this out to a daily and show you where that support level comes from. Way back here, we saw this huge drop. This is back when we had the earthquake. And what we're seeing is another bounce off of that level. And getting up to this monthly pivot is probably a no-brainer, certainly to the weekly. But here's the catch. We would be chasing price action at this point. This drive up like this is very strong, and I'm not going to play this long to the weekly or the monthly right now. I'm going to wait to see this pull back to maybe the weekly S1 before we make an entry, looking for that weekly and then perhaps lock in some profit and maybe let the rest ride up to the monthly. I don't know, but certainly I don't expect this to go up and grab that before we have some sort of a return down at least a little bit to that weekly S1. And jumping in is just going to be nuts at this point, so we're going to wait. And again, patience is key here. Got to have patience. How about Euro Yen? 1 hour chart. First thing I see is this novice gap, right? Here's a gap where we had price action closing the week here and starting the week here. This gap is one where price action was already down, and it gapped down again, which is a novice gap, meaning the novice traders hopped in and said, wow, this is going to keep going. Professional traders, institutional traders aren't going to hop in like that. They're already in the trade, which means there's a good chance of this gap filling relatively quickly when you have a novice gap like that. And in fact, we're only a few pips shy of this whole thing filling back up again. 30 pips before this fills. And again, this would be a trade where I would look to see it fill somewhere around here. I would look to see it drop back down to maybe monthly S2 to blow off some steam, grab some more buyers, and then come up here to the weekly pivot. Nothing sexy, it's just basic price action. And if you do get in a trade like this is a couple hundred pip trade, and if you put your stop losses below this swing, it's a 100 pip stop loss with a 200 pip target. That's 1 to 2 risk to reward. And I think there's one more, Euro Pound, same thing. The green line in the middle is simply a support and resistance area I identified on the daily. I just kind of put this in as a pretty good level where price action had some congestion in the past. You see that. It just so happens to be right around this week's weekly pivot. The point is, we have this really large candle right now with some pretty solid reaction off of the monthly S2. And you can mark that off back here from some pretty solid demand right here. Some good old Sam Seiden demand analysis, right? There it is. We go back down to the 4 hour, back down to the 1 hour, and you see that there's a good chance that we can have a run back down here, grab some extra buyers to give us the push through to get up to here. This is just plain price action, and with just a few lines on the page that the system will plot for you, you can have your own little system and just work off of those levels. When you can couple these levels with other things like some Fibonacci analysis, here's a fib extension off of this move, and then you see that we reach this 100% extension right around monthly S2. I mean, this is some confluence that you want to take advantage of. If you can couple that with the 200 EMA or some other level, then you really start to have some high probability trades, which is what this is all about. That's it for today. If you have any questions, feel free to email me at drebg@yahoo.com or drop me a line at InformedTrades.com. Thanks a lot and good trading.